spring day, but I have something that might help with that. It's time to accessorize the Jeep. I went over to Kaiser Willys and picked up a summer top. Now this Jeep has had a summer top before. It's got all kinds of holes in it, and you can kind of see where all the footman loops used to be, but they were scavenged long ago. But I figured that if I'm going to be driving this thing more and more, it's time to get a top on it. So let me show you what I picked up. This is the summer top that they offer, and this is in black. Now the black is actually more of a really dark gray, but that actually comes in really handy for me. This is the 1945 Bantam T3C that you guys have seen lurking in the corner this entire time, and it's had its own cover made in Sunbrella, and the color is called Slate. So it's a dark gray. It's not exact, but it is pretty darn close, I think. So because this Jeep has been around for a while, it's had a few different tops over the years, as evidenced by the number of holes in it. So I'm going to need to put some of that hardware back, because at some point this thing was scavenged on a little bit. So I've got 10 of these little single post caps, and these are the style that work really well with this style of top. Unfortunately, I'm also gonna have to replace the pockets on the middle of the body, because what I've got left of mine is not much. So the top bows will not just hang out on there. And of course, can't forget the footman loops. Got a whole bunch of them. I only needed 21, but I've got plenty. Because of all this Bondo, a bunch of the holes have been covered up, so I'll have to chisel those back out to make them usable again. But all the holes are there. Now to be clear, this is just the summer top. This is not the full-blown cover for it that has like 10 pieces. So I don't actually need all of these footman loops. I really just need 6 of them for the back. But I'm still gonna put them on, because that'll encourage me to get a full cab cover for it eventually. Maybe. We'll see. So here is all of the top bow hardware. I lucked out and ended up with a set from Carl Walk via Jason at Kaiser Willys, so thank you both for that. This is a complete set for not just the summer top that like I have, but for like a full, I think it's a 10-piece top. So let's go through the parts here so you know what you're getting into. You'll have these 2 pieces that are for the rear bow. They have the little hole in them that will face forward. These 2 are for the center, and they have the hole that'll face back, and they have this L bracket that faces forward. These are the 2 steel rods that go into those holes and kind of add some structure to it. These are the 2 top arches. The plain one goes on the rear, and this other one will go on that middle bow. It has the little loop on it, and that loop should look pretty familiar, because you should have something very similar on the middle of your windshield. And then we have this steel rod that has the little 90-degree bends on both ends. This would hook into those loops to give you some center support. Those are the main pieces that are required for a summer top, but you'll also have these other pieces. These are the windshield clamps. There's the driver's side and the passenger side. This one is the passenger side. you can tell because your windshield is on here at an angle. And the clamp kind of matches that angle and then gives you a vertical for the door hinge. And the bar that will match with this, they won't be bolted together when you get them in the kit, but the bar that matches will go up, out, and back. And then the driver's side will do the mirror image of that. It goes up, out, and back. The last two pieces are for the doors, for the little latch striker. My body already has the two holes for it. It would basically just be right there vertically for the door to latch to. I don't have doors for my Jeep yet, but if you've got your door frames in some canvas form, you'd want to add these. I've already worked ahead a little bit because I'm kind of in easy mode here. My Jeep, as I mentioned before, already had all of the holes for the footman loops, so I have all of mine installed. 6 across the back are all I really truly need for the summer top, but I've got all of them in place except for this one because it's buried under Bondo. I've also already taken out what was left of the driver's side bow pocket here, not much left, and I've wedged in the replacement, though I'll need to figure out how to weld it in there safely soon. The passenger side one will actually technically work somewhat for now, but I need to come up with a more permanent solution and remove this. Something else you will want to be aware of when you're inspecting these rear pockets, like mine for instance has a big old ding in the bottom of it here. I'm gonna have to come up with a large socket or a mandrel of some kind to hammer down here and make this round again. I'll have to put some heat in there to make that easier. And for some reason, someone has cut off like an inch of this, and I don't quite know why. Doesn't make sense, but those are just a couple of things to be aware of whenever you go to do your inspection and get this thing ready for a top bow set. You'll also want to take like a Dremel or something and try to wire wheel down in the inside of the tube. This thing was sitting outside for 30 years in the elements, so the inside was pretty crusty and had some scaly rust in there, and it just wasn't smooth at all, so that wouldn't work. The driver's side was in similar shape, so make sure you clean those up first. Next up for mine was to get all these cap screws in. These will work for the most part, but they're not ideal. My solution's either going to involve welding these up and re-drilling them, or JB weld and re-drill them. Like this one is the only one I can't actually screw in, but that is the hole that lines up with the top, so I'll figure something out that's a little bit more permanent later. As far as additional hardware goes that isn't included with the kit, you'll just need these. These are 1/4 20, I believe. Just a 1-inch nut and bolt. It'll take a 7/16 wrench. And these are also 1/4 20, but I had wing nuts in my spare parts bin. You'll also need a 1/2-inch wrench, most likely, for the windshield supports. But that should be it. So I did a little bit of the metalwork off camera, probably for the best. Just as a PSA, if you're hammering on something and it happens to be hardened steel, use caution because your hammer can knock a chunk of it loose and it can go right to your face. Ask me how I know. Forehead is still healing. But I've got this pocket massaged out mostly, and that one pretty well. So next up, we'll go ahead and put the rear bow on. Top arch. Driver's side, these have a little notch in them, and these have little detents. And it all just slides together such that it won't spin. Go ahead and get the passenger side as well. similar for the middle bow here. L brackets going forwards. The loop going forwards. Again, mine is a special case because I've got that passenger side one that's halfway there. It'll work for the most part. And the driver's side. Somewhat like that. At some point in the making of this video, we did actually transition to full-on summer, so it's very timely to have the summer top. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and put the support for the front to the windshield. Sometimes it's easier to hook it on the center loop here and then connect to the front. Next up are these two straight rods. Depending on how your rig is set up, these might end up having to hang or hover or something until you get the top on to give it more support and rigidity. So that's the main structure, but let's go ahead and get the rest of the hardware on. Start with this passenger side one. So I haven't found much official guidance on this, but I'm not quite sure where to put this clip here on the windshield or how high, but most likely just kind of visually even with the rear support. And then we'll lock that down with our 1/2" wrench. Now on my rig, paint is a luxury, and I don't really have much of that luxury. Your rig might have a better paint job to it that you'll want to protect, so you might want to use care or maybe put some kind of welting material on this to protect your paint. On the back, it just needs a bolt to it to hold it. And in my case, a wing nut, that's what I had. Next, I'll go ahead and add the vertical supports. Again, my hole's already in place, yours may not be. And it'll go through this little bracket here on that upper rail. All right, now to do the same on the driver's side. Move on to the next step, the top. So now let's get the top thrown over the bows and get the front locked down. Now we can pull it down at the back. Now we just need to get these through the footman loops. Back up through this little latch mechanism here to add some tension. And that should do it. There you have it. The summer top is installed and we are ready for drive. There's still a couple other things to do accessory wise. These, for instance, are the straps that hold the canvas top down to the wheel well cover when it's not in use. Turns out these are supposed to go permanently on the footman loop, and I neglected to do that, so I'll get that done. But I think it's time to go take it for a drive. So thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, informative, entertaining, anything, leave me a like, leave me a comment, maybe subscribe while you're here, and I'll see you on the next one. But it's time to go take it for a drive.